post-Brexit border checks with the EU. And Joe joins me on the line now. Let's begin with the good news, Joe. There's a plan.
Yes, indeed there is. Although 4 years on from the referendum, it's still looking like it has some holes in it and it's sketchy in places. But yes, there's something.
And what are the most salient points? I know it's a 29-slide PowerPoint presentation that Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs have been circulating. If you were in business, if you were in the import-export business, what would you... Well, presumably you've spoken to people who are. So what are the most salient points that have emerged?
I think the key takeaway is that after Brexit, if you're a UK truck wanting to move to the EU, you'll have to get a reference number from this new IT system called the Goods Vehicle Movement Service. And you'll get that reference by proving that you have filed a customs declaration, which is a new piece of paperwork that's required after Brexit. And once you have that reference number, you'll be allowed to go to a port. But the obstacle you'll face is having to prove to the tax authority that you have that number, and therefore you're likely to have to go through some kind of checkpoint to show that you have it before you get to the port. Because the government really wants to avoid trucks arriving at ports without the right documents, because that will cause the traffic jams and supply chain chaos, which many have warned of.
So where might those checks be done instead?
So the HMRC plan doesn't set that out, but there has been talk in the past about using sites like Manston Airfield or places around Dover, which could take a lot of lorries, where you could do those kind of the checking of those numbers before the truck is allowed to go to the port. But that's still to be confirmed.
Okay. Remind my listeners, the ones who don't drive lorries regularly to continental Europe, what the current situation would be if they were to be making this journey.
So currently there are very minimal documentation requirements. If you're going from UK to EU, you just take your truck down to Dover, you get on the ferry and you cross into the EU. I mean, essentially, when you're in the single market, you're in the customs union, you don't have those documentary barriers which occur when you leave the customs union and you leave the single market. So, I mean, as it stands, the English Channel is basically like a motorway. You get on as a truck and you cross, and there's very little friction. But Brexit necessarily creates that friction because you're out of the customs union.